Oh, we have rules of engagement.
Yeah.
You know, don't fire unless fired upon.
Yeah.
How that works in a war zone,
I
really
do not
don't know.
Yeah. Would you want body bags or do you
Somebody,
want... What do you want, mate?
somebody points a gun at you, you're not going to let them fire first.
Yeah. Hey, mate, how are you?
Dave, how you going?
Dave,
good to see you.
Nice to meet you, Glen, yeah.
Now, I probably need to tell you that I didn't write these cards.
I don't know what's
and
on
I
them
don't know
either,
where
mate.
it's going to take us. So we'll just see where it does take us.
All right, let's do that.
Well, where did you serve and how old were you?
I joined the British Army when I was 18. I only did 3 years there, and there was a lot of going to places, waiting, nothing ever happening, and just coming back dirty and stinky and just, annoying. So then I came over here with my now ex-wife, and I was just itchy. So I joined again here, and I went to 214, and I did 2 tours of the Middle East, Iraq predominantly. I did pretty much just under 7 months in Baghdad, and then I came back. I think it was off for about 8 months, and then I went back over again on the second deployment on an OBG, and I was in the south, just basically driving around in circles, waiting for people to shoot at you. Yeah. I talk all day with these, They're so small questions, but man. Glen, have you suffered any injuries?
Yeah, I had some physical injuries and I had some mental injuries. And like most veterans, I had problems resolving the mental issues of being in war. Yeah. And like you, I mean, I was a medic, I was in medical corps. I spent 6 months as a medic with an infantry battalion. Didn't do much medicing there, just spent that 6 months walking around the bush looking for someone to kill, which really wasn't my idea of you know, what I saw myself as. And the second 6 months, I spent most of that with the US military, flying as a medic on aeromedical evacuation.
Oh wow!
And that was pretty hairy. And I think most of the mental issues that I have arise out of those particular circumstances and events that happened on that. Like Winston Churchill said, "There's nothing so exhilarating as being shot at without result." And fortunately, it was without result. So I'm grateful for that. But that was a pretty harrowing time. And I flew about 268 combat assault hours. And that was, when you put that in perspective, that was more than most World War II bomber or fighter pilots flew during the whole of World War II. Yeah. That was the most traumatic part of it, and there are particular incidents there that I'll never forget. Found the best thing was to sit down with a good psychologist and get it all out of your head.
Yeah.
And that's what I did over a number of sessions with someone, a psychologist who had actually served. It worked. Yeah. And so I've had it, resolved it. What about you?
The thing is, when I left the job I was doing in the army, everything was a threat. There's a piece of rubbish on the road, there's a bonnet up under a bridge, while there's people on the overpass. Holy shit, are we going to take rounds? So where do I go? I join the police, right? So what do they applaud? Hypervigilance, don't they?
Exactly.
Yeah. This guy was doing the mental health talks at work, trying to get across the line that it's okay to be mentally ill. And he threw a few things up on a board, and I stormed out of that room. I'm not surprised the door stayed on the hinges, and I just broke down at work. Like, I had a proper breakdown. I basically got made to go and see mental health specialists. My wife, very good friends of mine, were very worried about me.
What was a moment, presumably during service, that you're particularly proud of? It's difficult to see.
It is, because it's
war
so
as a pride issue.
Yeah, exactly right, and because of the way public opinion is as well. Not that I care too much about that when I'm in this environment, but
just head down, arse up, do your job.
Yeah, that's it, mate. And I think a lot of people say, and I quite like the saying, is that war is 90% of sitting around doing what you're told, being angry that you're getting to do something, and then 10% of pure excitement where you think, holy shit, how do we get through that?
Or pure terror.
Yeah, pure terror. Yeah. So yeah, I think for the most part I had was probably my first trip. And then I think pride through actions in my second trip, pride of the people that I worked with, because there was so many good people. Pride of the way people just put up with stuff because they know looking after each other was the way to be, not just there for yourself. Yeah. Some people were, I mean, we've all seen that. But for me, it wasn't that, mate. It wasn't about the medals or the money. It was just experiencing it and actually being able to provide and help other people. And even when I left, because I only had 2 weeks off between leaving the full-time service and joining the police service, I didn't get a chance to really process that. I used to avoid Anzac days. I used to avoid anything where I might meet people that I served with because that's gone. I don't need to worry about that.
The inability to process it is probably the major factor that leads to mental illness.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Yeah.
What is your memory of the first time you faced the enemy?
A lot of the enemy stuff that happened against us was indirect, so basically stuff falling out the sky. They weren't as accurate as they probably could be now, but at the time it was, things blowing up. But the first time I remember actually going, holy shit, we are actually in contact. A four-wheel drive came through and stopped in front of us, and a guy in a brown check shirt got out. And as I'm sort of looking at this guy filter off into the side of the bush, all of a sudden I just hear, I can't remember the sequence of it, but I remember hearing up against the side of the car, and I've looked up and saw in the rearview mirror, said, holy shit, it's like a white four-wheel drive come screaming down the road. And I remember seeing the guy on the back left, and I remember it clearly. He's out with the AK, like shooting up towards the height of the lav, and he's just got peppered. There was just like, it was like shaking salt. That's what the car looked like, but in reverse, like salt just falling off this car. Everything was flying off it, bits going everywhere. He's taken a right turn. He's bounced up onto the curb. The unluckiest fruit stand in Baghdad, straight into it. So he's taken his.
And that was the only one for 10 kilometres.
Yeah, it's probably the only fruit stand for kilometres. And this poor dude. But the car's, it's a mobility kill, and there was people inside that didn't quite make it. That was the first time I thought, holy crap, this is life and death here, you know. But up to that point, like I was saying, shit, driving around Baghdad, everything's a threat, look, scan, look. But that was the first time we actually had direct rounds hitting us. And when we got the pictures later, the grouping on the driver's windscreen was literally like that. At a moving target, shooting from a minimi, that was impressive. And I'm not glorifying it, and it's a shame people died, but the driver, the people got hurt. So that was my first time. That was what I remember, my first time anyway. Yeah.
Well, in Vietnam, you very rarely got to see the enemy.
Yeah, I can imagine, mate. Yeah.
Jungle was so dense most of the time.
How can people ask a veteran about their service?
It's not so much how somebody can approach a veteran about their experiences. It's the depth that they're likely to be able to dig to if they're a non-veteran themselves. It's very difficult to explain to a layperson what military service is like and what service in a war is like.
Yeah.
I think if you're a non-veteran, the approach has to be guarded and it has to be non-judgmental. You can't sit in judgment on somebody that's been in a war zone if you've never been in one yourself.
Yeah, agreed.
That was great.
That was awesome.
Really enjoyed it.
I really enjoyed that.